In this video, we will look at the DP-600 Microsoft Fabric Analytics Engineer Associate exam. Hello, I'm Philip Burton of idodata.com. The DP-600 exam is for you if you want to demonstrate your ability with advanced DAX and other Power BI techniques, and also introductory Fabric. So if I go to the exam page, you can see it is for both data analysts and data engineers. So it's all about designing, creating, and managing analytical assets, such as semantic models, which used to be known as datasets, data warehouses, and lakehouses. You will need to be able to use SQL, KQL, and DAX. Now, before November 2024, you would also need PySpark. However, that is no longer needed. That is now needed in the DP-700 exam. So what is the difference between the DP-600 exam and the DP-700 exam, and indeed the PL300 and the DP-600 exam? Well, if we go to the Microsoft Fabric Career Hub and scroll down, you'll see we've got this page, which shows the aspects that you may well be using as part of the DP-600 exam. Now, the grade sections are slightly out of date, but if I just look at the data analyst, this is the PL300. This looks at Power BI, so you'll be looking at visualizations, transforming data using the Power Query window, also known as Get and Transform, modeling data using DAX, and then uploading your reports to the Power BI service and creating dashboards and apps. Now, with regard to the analytics engineer, yes, you will still be using Power BI. However, you won't primarily be concentrating on creating visuals. Instead, the focus is on the semantic model. You will be transforming data using the Power Query window, but this will be in the context of a data flow Gen 2. And you will be using the Lakehouse and Data Warehouse. Now, you won't be transforming data using notebooks, data flows and procedures, or using shortcuts. Those have now been moved to the DP-700. Now, if I compared this with the DP-700, then this looks entirely at Fabric, so there's no Power BI, no DAX whatsoever. However, there is SQL and KQL, and you'll see a fair bit of overlap with regard to, for instance, Lakehouse and Data Warehouse, and pipelines and data flows. There is also a bit of overlap with regard to the PL300 Power BI and the DP600, in that we're looking at Power BI DAX formulas to expand your semantic model. We're looking at some Get and Transform in the context of data flows, and we're looking at uploading reports into the Power BI service. So if I go back to the DP600 page, let's have a look at the detailed requirements for this exam. So if I scroll down to the study guide, we'll see that the requirements fall into three very big sections: maintain a data analytics solution, prepare data, and implement and manage semantic models. So the first one of these, maintain a data analytics solution. You'll be looking at implementing security and governance. A lot of this is in the Power BI PL300 exam, and maintain the analytics development lifecycle. This is new to the DP600. For prepare data, you have get data, so you ingest or access data as needed. So this could be through a pipeline or a data flow Gen 2, for example. You can transform data, so this uses both SQL and KQL. So you'll need to know the 6 principal clauses of the SQL select statement. Select from where, group by, having, and order by. And also you'll be querying and analyzing data. Finally, implementing and managing semantic models. So this goes back to the Power BI world, where you'll be designing and building semantic models and optimizing enterprise-scale semantic models. Now, some of this you may know from the Power BI exam. For example, iterators such as SumX and table filtering using calculate. However, some of this might be new, like windowing functions. Now, as I said before, there is some overlap between the DP600 and DP700. For example, transforming data and getting data is in the DP6 and 700 to different extents. And for both of those, you will need to know SQL and KQL. So, how can you learn all of the information that you need for the DP-600 exam? Well, I'm pleased to be able to introduce our course on the DP-600. So, it is now fully up to date with all of the changes that were made in November 2024. In addition, when I launched the course originally, it was designed as a follow on to the PL300 exam. So, I assumed you knew everything in the PL300. However, I have now added a new Part 1 to this course. So if you've already studied for the PL300 exam, then you can skip Part 1. If not, then we'll be looking at how to install and use Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service, and create calculated columns and measures. In Part 2 of this course, which is for everybody, whether you have done the PL300 or not, we will develop our skills in Power BI. We'll be designing and building semantic models, looking at DAX variables and windowing functions, expanding our knowledge of relationships and performance improvements, and more. In Part 3, we will then turn to Fabric. We'll be looking at data pipelines and data flows, and then we'll be querying data in a lakehouse and a data warehouse. So we can use the SQL Analytics endpoint. We can also use a notebook for querying a lakehouse. Now, whereas Part 3 is all about batch data, Part 4 is all about streaming data. So you can imagine, for instance, data coming from internet sensors. So we'll create an event house and then query the data using KQL, Kusto query language. And then finally, we will configure security and governance and look at creating deployment pipelines. For more information on this course, which is more than 17 hours of learning, please go to our website, idodata.com, and click on Fabric and click on the DP600. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then why not give it a like? And why not subscribe and click that bell? That way you'll be notified of any new videos. Are you planning to study or take the DP600 or any of the other exams? Why not let me know in the comments to this video? If you're interested in the DP700, then there'll be a video on the end screen all about the DP700, so please click on it. I'm Philip Burton of idodata.com. Thanks for watching and keep learning.